천자문,
千字文
千字文
In this lesson, we will look at characters 481 through 488 of the 1000 character classic, the 1500-year-old Chinese classic in which no characters are repeated. Drafts of Dou and the clerical script of Zhong.
두고종래,
渡航奨励
杜稿鍾隸
Lacquered writings and inscriptions of classics on the walls.
칠서벽경,
漆書壁経
漆書壁經
Let's look at line 121, character by character. The first character here is a reference to an historical person with the family name Dou, renowned for his draftsmanship, and a reference to Zhong, somebody who's considered a father of modern calligraphy, and a reference to his clerical script. So together they can be translated as the drafts of Dou and the clerical script of Zhong. Let's hear it pronounced. You'll hear it from a recording in Korean, Japanese, and Chinese.
두고종래,
渡航奨励
杜稿鍾隸
On to line 122. Character by character. The first character means lacquer. The next refers to writings or the act of writing itself. Then wall and classics, as in classical works of literature or philosophy. So the translated, we can read lacquered writings and inscriptions of classics on the walls. Now let's hear it pronounced.
칠서벽경,
漆書壁経
漆書壁經
Now let's look at a few radicals or components. For 481, I have no special comment. For 482, I want to point out that the right side is itself a radical, which is also a standalone character inside the classic. That's character 505 of the classic. On to 483. In many books or publications, you will see this character, the one in the blue box, which means bell, instead of the character you see in the spot for 483. I don't think of these so much as variant characters. I think what happened is that both of them took the same simplified form, of modern simplified Chinese characters. So that kind of confused their, the meaning of the original. On to 484, and this character, it means slave or subordinate, but in the case of this reference in the 1000 classic, it's a reference to clerical script, a type of Chinese calligraphy, and the right side component of it is the radical here, and that radical is a slave. And I want to point out that in modern Chinese, the simplified form of character 484 is the same as the radical form. So if you know this radical, you also know the simplified Chinese form of this character. Come to 485, this character means lacquer. Okay, no special comment. Do notice the left side is the water radical, which suggests that it could have something to do with liquid, in this case, which it does. 486, no major comment on this other than to say the top part of it, that top component, is the radical or the radical component, which means brush, which makes sense because obviously traditional writing was done with a brush. 487, I just want to point out the top half of this character is the same top half as another character in the classic. And then on to 488, I'm not going to make any special comment on this one. Based on the 8 characters of these 2 lines, I've come up with a word list. I've tried to select words that are common and relevant to Japanese, Korean, and Chinese. Now you hear the words spoken in each language. to fabricate.
두찬,
ずさん、
杜撰、
Manuscript, original copy.
원고,
原稿、
原稿、
Deep affection.
종애,
昭愛、
钟爱、
Slave.
노래,
奴隷、
奴隶、
Pitch black.
칠흑,
漆黒、
漆黑、
Books, works.
서적,
書籍、
书籍、
To read a book.
독서,
読書、
读书、
Mural.
벽화,
壁画、
壁画、
Economy.
경제,
経済、
经济。
Have a look one more time at the words of this lesson. See which ones you remember. Okay, let's move on. Now I'll take one more look at each of the characters and offer a few additional notes for each character. I'll also give each character a rating. A rating of 5 suggests the character is common and essential. A rating of 1 suggests the character could be obsolete. Okay, so this one, it is a Jinmeo character in Japan, meaning that it could be used in names. It could also be a surname, but it's not a common one. Okay, this one means draft. So it appears across Japan and China in reference to manuscripts and early drafts of a work, but it also appears in digital design processes as well. As mentioned, this refers to the name of a famous calligrapher, Zhong. He is said to have developed the regular script, and that is, one of the most common scripts for Chinese characters. This character is well known for being part of the word for slave, and as I mentioned, within the classic, it refers to the clerical script style. Along with the regular script I just mentioned, it's one of the main script styles in Chinese writing. So this one means lacquer, a kind of varnish. And I read that ancient Chinese writings, such as the ones done on bamboo, could be painted over with lacquer to make them more durable. Various types of art use this black lacquer. Look at these rice bowls, for instance. This one is extremely common in all of these languages in reference to writing and books. It's part of the word for calligraphy itself. This simply means wall. For instance, it's part of the word for wallpaper in each of these languages. And if you don't know already, the Great Wall of China does not use this character because in Chinese it's not called a wall, it's called a castle. And this one often appears in references to classical works. So for instance, there is this set of 4 books and 5 classics. And that's a wrap for this lesson. In the next lesson, we'll look at lines 123 and 124. And this is a reference to officials and generals who are going to the capital city, being greeted by other officials who are standing along tree-lined boulevards.
천자문,
千字文、
千字文、
As always, I remind you that I make these videos partly for my own study purposes. My skills are not advanced in these languages, so it's quite likely I've made some mistakes or forgotten something obvious. If you do notice something or have a question, let me know in the comments. The goal of this channel is to make a video for each line of the 1000 character classic while using this classic as a lens to explore language study methods and connections between the Chinese, Japanese, and Korean languages. I wish you happy and productive language studies.